Hey, Queens! Welcome back or welcome to the Quantum Queen Travels podcast. I have a little setup here. I'm really excited about it. Got inspired because I went to an antique shop and found this vintage travel Barbie, international Barbie that they don't sell anymore. It's from, I think, like the 70s or 80s, whatever. And my sister was like, oh my God, you should have that on your podcast set. And I was like, I've been wanting to make a visual podcast set. So I'm really, really excited about this. Now you have the option to watch me visually on YouTube. So my podcasts will now be posted there as well. But thanks for listening. Feeling super inspired right now. I just wanted to pick up my mic and let my thoughts flow. I'm super fresh faced right now, as you can tell, because I wasn't really planning on making an episode today, but I had the blah, blah, blah. Let's get comfy. I'm gonna get comfy here. I had a huge epiphany about all the reasons and things that hold me back from traveling and used to hold me back from traveling and why it took me so long to get started. Whether it was I didn't have enough money or I can't take time off work, I can't rearrange my life like that. Whatever it was, I used to be scared of what other people thought. These fears are very common. Like, I feel like most people have these fears. And I had an epiphany about why we have these fears and let these fears hold us back, and how to rewire all the bullshit, all the limiting beliefs. And I want to talk about why all these fears and doubts are bullshit and why you can travel right now. Let's get into it. My name is Mary Boucher. I'm your go-to girl for all things travel, and welcome to the Quantum Queen Travels podcast. This is the podcast where we travel with purpose, passion, and just a little bit of magic, aka manifestation. So, what initially inspired this episode was I was listening to James Wedmore. If you don't know who he is, he's a great online business coach. I was listening to him in the bath, and he was talking about how a lot of people don't start their online businesses right away because of fear, and they're acting out of derivatives of fear, whether my niche is too saturated or I'm not an expert yet, so I can't start. Whatever it was, they were all fears. Every reason you can come up with about why you hadn't started yet stems from some sort of fear. I immediately hopped out of the tub, drained my bath, and started journaling about all my fears about why I never started my travel business or what used to hold me back from starting. And I was like, oh my God, this applies to just travel in general and people who are afraid to travel. Of course, after I was journaling, I grabbed my laptop and started making notes for a podcast. And here I am with no makeup on, talking to you guys because I'm that passionate about this. So I just want to tell a little anecdote, a little story about what used to happen to me. Was I would go through Instagram Reels, TikToks, whatever it was, right? And I would look at people traveling solo or backpacking or how to get free stays somewhere, or they'd be flying first class. And my immediate thought would be, that must be nice. Or how are they doing that? They must be rich. Then you'd go through the comments of these well-polished videos and they'd be, must be rich, or they have a trust fund, or whatever it is. I wrote this in my journal when I was journaling after James Wedmore, but this stood out to me the most. It was, I can't wait for that to be me one day. And the words one day really stuck out to me. And I realized I had what I'm going to call the 1 day mindset. And I want to talk about how to change your 1 day mindset to a now mindset. So I'm going to tell you a little story, and I promise it's going to relate to this topic. This is really when it clicked for me. I wanted to go to undergrad to major in musical theater. So I went through this very rigorous process of self-tapes and pre-screens, flying all over the country to go to dance calls and auditions and all that good stuff. Ultimately, I did major in musical theater for a bit. I went to upstate New York. I knew that it was going to be a sacrifice. I knew that majoring in musical theater, you don't get a lot of free time to take other classes that may be of interest to you, to explore, because you're really dedicating yourself to being cast in shows and all that good stuff. Like, it's a lot of time and commitment outside of just class. So I accepted that fact and went through it, and ultimately had to make a big decision because I wasn't happy anymore. And I decided to change my major my second semester of my junior year, which is super late in the game, but I was determined to graduate on time, and I wanted a major that would give me more freedom and flexibility, something a little more broad that I can do other jobs with. So I ultimately went to communication studies. I was interested in PR and things like that, but it was a really hard decision for me because I had sacrificed so much and spent so much time working on this goal. But I really wanted to follow my own intuition and my own gut and do what was going to ultimately make me happy. And it was scary because I didn't know if I was going to graduate on time. And I was nervous about what my parents would think after spending so much time and money on my trainings and audition prep and everything like that. But ultimately, I did it and it changed the trajectory of my life. And I'm so happy that I did. And I followed the path that I knew was right for me. And here's where it gets really interesting. And I knew that this change worked out in my favor. One day, I got an email about this random study abroad trip it was Hawaii. It was like during the spring break. It was 2 weeks. It was like a volunteer trip. And it was like an article on my school's website because it was like a newer trip. I saw it and I saw that my friend from my sorority had done it the year prior. So I just forwarded it to my mom and was like, look how cool in my email. Like I didn't think anything of it really. And then a few days later, we're just chatting about normal things. And she randomly just drops, by the way, me and your dad talked and we can use the rest of your 529 that's going to expire to send you on that trip. And I was like, what trip? Oh my God. The study abroad, the Hawaii trip, like the volunteer trip. And she was like, yeah. And I remember being brought to tears because I was so caught off guard and so shocked, but it felt so aligned and I was so excited. And again, majoring in musical theater, I had totally let those dreams of studying abroad go because it's not feasible. It's not a thing that you can just do with all the time commitment and everything like that. When I changed my major so late in the game, I didn't even think about the potential of studying abroad again. But it was always something that I wanted to do. Travel always interests me. I loved maps growing up. And I always loved different cultures and religions and learning about that type of stuff. So travel's always been something that I really wanted to do. But I always assumed I would just do it when I retired, which I totally let go of that mindset, of course, by now. Yeah, that was just insane. So through all of that, the biggest fear that I had to overcome was making that ultimate decision to change my major. And I know it doesn't sound like a big decision, but it really was for me, especially at the time. Now reflecting, if I had let fear get in the way of me making that decision, I wouldn't have found that Hawaii trip that ultimately changed my career path because I wouldn't have discovered my passion for travel. I'm so happy that I didn't let fear hold me back because I chose the path of least resistance. I love this phrase. Always choose the path of least resistance. I think it's so important to honor what you know is right for you. Every time you do this, the universe will reward you. Catherine Zankina, an online manifestation coach, she always says your desires are your destiny. So if you ignore yourself and you don't listen to your own feelings and honor them, you're doing yourself a huge injustice. You're ignoring what's truly meant for you and making your life so much harder. Think of like affairs that you see on TV or in movies. I know it's kind of a weird analogy, but just go with me. A spouse is unhappy in their marriage. They can't bring themselves to face the feelings and confront the issue. So they push it down, they bottle it up, they go on in their unhappy marriage for a long time. Ultimately, they cheat, right? They have an affair. The partner finds out, they end up getting a divorce anyway. Everyone feels like shit. I know it's weird, but I feel like it pertains. I'll also use the analogy of a GPS for following the path of least resistance, okay? It's like you and your friend are going on a road trip. You're driving, your friend's navigating, and you both know the destination, right? So all you have to do is listen to your friend, just tell you where to drive, tell you where to go, and you're set. But you get all in your head and you say, fuck it, I know where to go already. And you stop listening to your friends, which in this analogy, your friend is your emotions and desires. And you decide to take her phone with the GPS and chuck it out the window and drive wherever the fuck you want because you know where to go. Ultimately, without the GPS, you get lost. You drive aimlessly. Maybe you do get to your destination, but it takes you a lot longer to get there because you chose the harder route. You chose to not look at a GPS. You chose to not use directions. I feel like it's the same with life. I feel like the universe is watching us sometimes say, like, just listen to yourself, right? If you want to travel, if you know in your heart you need to see the world, you need to follow it. You cannot ignore this feeling because it can be life changing, because travel is a life changing thing. Maybe you're supposed to meet a business partner somewhere, or you go abroad and you get inspired for a new business idea, or maybe you're supposed to have some more self discovery or spiritual growth, or maybe you meet the love of your life. You just never know what could happen, and it's the cause of an effect. Fear has a lot to do with the universal laws, but I'm going to focus on the universal law of cause and effect. If you follow the universal laws and believe in them, it's also known as the law of karma. The law of cause and effect is a direct example of how your life will play out, whether you let fear be the forefront of your decisions or not. Usually, in the law of cause and effect, the effect is a lot greater than the cause. So, I'll use the example again. If I hadn't changed my major, cause, I wouldn't have been able to go on this life-changing study abroad trip, effect, that allowed me to discover my passion for travel, effect, which led me down my career path of travel content, effect. And you can see how the effects are so much greater than that cause, right? Let's talk more about fear. One point that I have, excuses why you can't are always going to be much easier to find than excuses why you can. It's much easier to convince yourself why you shouldn't do something and to talk yourself out of something than it is to really follow your own intuition. Think of it as using the same part of the brain as when you start going to the gym again. You have the excuse of, I'm not feeling too great, or I don't really have enough time today. I have too much work to do, so I can't go to the gym. There's always going to be a reason why you can't go to the gym. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. This is actually a completely normal response. Because your brain doesn't like things that are unfamiliar, it's protecting you and it's rationalizing and giving you reasons why not to take risks, okay? So travel does this times a million. If you think about it, you're in a foreign country, you are in a completely new environment with new people, different weather, new cuisines, different cultures. Of course, your brain's going to tell you, don't do that. That's crazy, and give you reasons to not do it. This is quantum leaping, by the way, being in that drastically different environment, but that's a whole new episode. But it's inevitable that your brain's going to go there. So the common dilemma we get into is your heart wants to travel, but your brain is telling you you can't. So here's the thing. No one's going to shake you and wake you up and hold a gun to your head and force you to travel because you want to. No one's going to shake you and say, book it. You need to have the strength to listen to your own gut. You don't need to know, and this brings me to my next point, of you don't need to know the how, you just need to know the why. If your reason why you want to travel is strong enough, you just need to start and trust that the universe has your back. Everything will work out. And I know it sounds silly and simple, but it really is just the truth. You need to get strong enough in your why to have faith and trust that what's meant for you will work out, just simply because it's meant for you. For example, I said in the beginning of 2025 that I was going to not work my 9-to-5 job anymore. I was going to be somewhere in a job that allowed me more freedom, whether it was working remote or going abroad, whatever it was, okay? I said that by the end of 2025, I was going to be in a better spot in my career. I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do this or where to start, but I knew I just needed to start. So I started looking at remote jobs the first few months of the year, found absolutely nothing. And I feel like most people would stop there, right? They'd say, oh, it's not meant for me. I can't find anything, and stop. But I knew it was meant for me. I just needed to keep going. So you need to just follow your intuition. My why for leaving my 9-to-5 is so strong that I knew it was right and there was no other possibility. So I started looking for remote jobs. So I started looking for jobs abroad. I looked at hospitality, being like a hotel concierge. I looked at bartending. I looked at being an au pair. None of that really interested me or excited me. And then a few more months went by and I found TEFL, teaching English as a foreign language. And it ignited this spark in me. And I was like, bingo, that's it. Now let's take the next steps. how do I get certified? Where do I get certified through? How much does it cost, etc., etc. I'm still not working abroad yet. It's August 2025, but I am much, much closer to that goal than I was 6 months ago. And I can't imagine not ever starting. If I never started because I didn't know where or I didn't know how, and I just stayed stagnant and was in the same spot now that I was 6 months ago, I can't imagine how I would still feel and how my life would differ. And I'm now so much closer. I'm almost a certified teacher and I'm applying for jobs soon once I have that certification. Ultimately, you can't go anywhere without progress. You can't go anywhere without just starting. Just do it. This leads me to my next point. Number 3, no one's going to believe in you more than you believe in you. No one's going to advocate and fight for you more than you will for yourself. You know what's best for you more than anyone else in this entire world. And even if you think you don't know, you actually do, because the answers are within. I used to be a person that always external validation. I needed other people's advice and opinions constantly. Do I break up with him when I knew damn well in my mind that I needed to end that relationship, but I still felt the need to ask a million people? You cannot be like this. You need to trust yourself. If you know you want to travel, you don't need to take into consideration anyone else's opinion. You don't need to ask your friend, should I go this far away from home? And you don't need to listen to your mom tell you, do you really want to give up the job you're at now to do this? Whatever it is, you don't need any of that bullshit because you know what is right for you. And this goes along with my 4th point. They kind of go hand in hand, number 3 and number 4, but to not doubt your own capabilities. You are extremely capable of absolutely anything you want to do. You don't know enough about a country you're going to. You don't know how to book a flight. Everything is figure outable. Every problem has a solution. Everything is figure outable is a book, by the way. It's great if you're having trouble doubting, having confidence in your own capabilities and problem solving. I highly, highly recommend that book. But guess what? You don't know more than I do. I don't have some secret cheat code to travel. Yes, I have a travel brand and I make content about travel. Anything that I know, you are also more than capable of knowing. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses and special interests and all that good stuff, but you are more than capable of doing anything anyone else can. I used to get super insecure watching travel influencers share their skills about like how to get free stays or how to book luxury hotels for free and things I had no idea about. And I would get super insecure, like they knew so much more than me, but they didn't really. The difference between me and them was they were taking more risks than I did. They weren't letting fear stop them because they weren't afraid of putting themselves out there. They weren't afraid of the perceptions of others. They didn't doubt their own capabilities. They trusted in themselves and the universe. So I started to rewire my mindset to unblock the limiting belief, because if they can do it, so can I. So if I can do it, so can you. It's that easy. I don't have some secret cheat code. They didn't have some secret cheat code. I might just be taking more risks than you are right now. And how do I know this? Because I saw it firsthand with one of my closest friends. She used to work a 9-to-5 at a bank and decided to ultimately leave that job to pursue her full-time online business of copywriting. She was super passionate about it. Her family told her it was a bad idea. Don't you want to have more financial stability than that? Do you really want to leave a comfortable job? No, she didn't grow up rich. She doesn't have a trust fund. And yes, she was scared out of her mind, but she had a why that was so strong enough. She knew she had to do it. And no, her business wasn't drastically successful from the jump, but she put in the work. She did it. And she listened to her heart and she trusted, and ultimately everything worked out. The universe provided. I saw it firsthand. And if she can do it, so can I. And if I can do it, so can you. You need to start thinking this way. If you want to travel, there's absolutely no reason why you can't. There's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, Mary, this is great. This is lovely, but I don't have enough money to travel. These are fears. That's a fear. I'm going to debunk all of them right now for you. Because what if I told you there's a way to hack the system and reframe your thinking to make your fear work in your favor? It all stems from the subconscious mind. The most common subconscious fears, just in general in life, it has nothing to do with travel, just in general, we're going to list them. There's 6 of them. It's the fear of failure, the fear of success. And yes, people are afraid to succeed because they're afraid of responsibility. They're afraid of the virality of it. The fear of rejection and judgment, the fear of the unknown, the fear of not being good enough or unworthiness, however you want to say it, and the fear of abandonment. So these all apply to travel fears. We're going to go through all of your what ifs one by one, even though I think what ifs are so stupid because what if I win the lottery tomorrow? What if I win $1 million? So what if I don't have enough money to travel? It's stupid. But we're going to go through all of the what ifs one by one and take some steps to rewire these limiting beliefs. So 1, I don't have enough money to travel. If I'm being real with you, this is actually the number one excuse I hear from people about why they can't travel. And the truth is, you don't need to be rich. You don't need to have a trust fund. You don't need to wait until retirement. Yes, we all have bills. We all have necessities to pay for. But if you really take a look at your finances, see what you're prioritizing and see if what you're spending your money on aligns with your values. I'm not telling you to stop getting coffees or trying to sound like a boomer, like stop getting your avocado toast. I'm not saying that at all. Do it. If it makes you feel great, do that. But you might be overpaying for things that you don't even know or value. You might not even be aware of some of these things. I took a deep dive into my finances a few months ago, actually, because I really wanted to see if there was a way I could work in a trip to Egypt before I leave my job. And I found out so much. I found out I could refinance my car payment to have a much lower interest rate. I found out that when I was paying more than my minimum payment on my car, it wasn't actually going to the principal loan, which was great to know. I found out I was paying for Peacock when my sister's boyfriend has a Peacock that he lets my family use. I was paying for Amazon Prime twice somehow. I found that I was still paying for my Audible subscription that I barely use because I have a lot of hours on Spotify Premium to listen to audiobooks. Just things like that to be super aware of. Because if your heart desires something, there's always going to be a way to make it work, and you just need to rearrange. If your car breaks down, you're going to find a way to pay for it. You're going to find a way to fix it. And you might be saying, okay, well, travel's not as vital, or like travel's not as dire or time sensitive as your car breaking down. And it's not as time sensitive, but I can argue it's as dire. Because if your heart really desires this, it's something you need to do. Also, if you're strong enough on your why for travel, like we talked about before, you can assess your priorities that aligns with that, right? So do you want to travel to because you're really passionate about food? Like, I know a lot of foodies out there. Maybe you want to really budget your accommodations and stays, and you could stay in hostels and things like that so that you could spend money on things like food tours and fine dining and things like that. Or maybe you really want to immerse yourself in a culture, and maybe you should look into something like a workaway program where you get accommodations and a lot of your meals for free in exchange for working a few hours with a local family. Usually it's like working on their farm or babysitting their kids. You really immerse yourself in a culture. Or maybe you want to look into volunteer trips that you pay, an upfront fee for, and you volunteer time and you're working with natives and locals and learning about their culture by working on their farms. Things like this, you should prioritize what you really want. There's a way to be comfortable without traveling to 5-star resorts or having first-class flights. You can have an amazing, adventure-filled trip with budget airlines and nice hotels. There are thousands of ways to travel affordably, and you just need to do a little more research and get a little more creative with it. But travel is so much more accessible than you think and then you realize. I also want to urge you to consider destinations where the cost of living is a lot lower. If your heart is really seeking or desiring self-discovery or spiritual growth in a trip, I would say something like going to Bali is great. I think the initial flight up front is $1,500 to $2,000. It probably is less than that, honestly, but let's just round up for the sake of, the situation. you can save 100, 150 a month, right, towards the flight. And then once you get to Bali, you can comfortably stay in a nice hotel for as low as $5 a night, equivalent to US dollars. You can get an hour-long massage for the equivalent of 10 US dollars. So you don't need to be spending hundreds and thousands of dollars at these nice destinations to get that travel, that experience, and that trip that you're really desiring. You really just need to assess what's important to you when you're traveling and ask more questions when you're thinking about your why to your travel. To go over your own finances, make sure that you're really spending your money the way that's in alignment with your priorities and your values. Number 2, I don't have time to travel. I can't rearrange my life. This sounds responsible, okay, but it's actually a fear in disguise. It's actually irresponsible. The truth is, if travel's that important to you, you can rearrange your life. And let's use the mantra, you make time for the things that matter most to you. Okay? And I'll link some resources in the show notes below, including mantras, journal prompts, and things like that to help you rewire your limiting beliefs and fears. But let's say you work a 9 to 5 and you go to the gym regularly. And then all of a sudden something happens and your friend's in the hospital. You're going to make time to see that friend. You're not going to say, I don't have time. I can't rearrange things to go visit my friend in the hospital. I know this analogy may sound drastic, but it's really not when you realize how much travel is a life-changing thing. People take off all the time for surgeries and weddings and emergencies. So why not for your dreams? I'm not saying quit your job tomorrow. I'm not saying uproot everything, but start small. Plan a week abroad or even plan a weekend trip and just see how much better you feel. I feel like in our culture, in Western culture, it's so frowned upon to take time off for yourself. We have truly one of the strongest hustle and grind cultures, and it's such an unhealthy mindset. It doesn't get you ahead as much as people think it does. It causes burnout, it's not sustainable, and even if it does get you ahead, at what cost of your happiness? In European cultures, a gap year is so normalized in between the year of high school and college. It's almost standard, actually. When many young adults take that time to travel and discover themselves and what they truly want, they're so much more ready to go into college or university. Like, think about your own experience and imagine if you had that time to really do that for yourself. Because I know I don't even think I would have gone into musical theater as a major. Those people in Europe, they don't wait until they're retired and they're older to travel. They didn't right then and there jump into even more school without even knowing what they wanted to do. They took the time that they desired. They really took that vital time for themselves. There's also another example I could think of. Many countries, like I know France does it, Italy does it, I think some parts of Spain does it, but it's called the August shutdown. Almost no one works in the month of August, pretty much. Businesses, restaurants, so many things shut down. The city gets super quiet. Companies will literally pay their employees to take the month of August off. It's almost required, okay? It's expected. And no one feels guilty for doing it because it's the norm. So it's expected. Where are you going in August? Why don't you deserve that? Why don't we deserve that? It's not that you don't, but you have the limiting belief that you do. You have a limiting belief that you don't deserve time off for yourself. You're unworthy of time to discover yourself. You're not worthy of free time. You need to do something better. You don't deserve rest. If during the process of figuring out your why to travel, your why to wanting to travel, you realize this is how you feel, there are ways to reframe your thinking and unblock these limiting beliefs. I'll have a resource with some journal prompts in the show notes below to this as well. I think it's super, super important and one of the biggest fears that holds people back from traveling. Number 3, what will people think? My family is going to think I'm crazy, right? Everyone thinks this when they first initially get that seed planted in their head of what if I worked abroad? What if I traveled? What will my husband think? Etc., etc. The fear of judgment and the hyper awareness of others' perceptions of you are two of the strongest, most hindering beliefs that I see. The truth is that no matter what you do, someone's going to have an opinion on it. You stay home, they'll have an opinion. You travel the world, they'll have an opinion. You get promoted at your job, they'll have an opinion. You go to church every damn day, They'll have an opinion. The thing is, they're all opinions. We have no way of knowing what someone's internal dialogue is. We have no way of knowing what anyone's thinking at any given moment. So, trying to guess is impossible and useless. However, it's inevitable that that little idea in your head of what someone's thinking about you will pop up. We need to neutralize that. No one's opinions should have a negative or a positive connotation to them. They're simply just thoughts that exist. They're there no matter what you do. Reality is gonna play out. People are gonna have opinions about you. And you just live your life. Whether they think positively or negatively about you, you can't even really know for sure. Your reality is going to play out and you're going to do what you're going to do. And let's say they say these judgments out loud. Let's talk a little bit about the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, an amazing book that actually changed my life. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend. But people say you shouldn't do that. Let them. People tell you that you're wasting your time or you're gonna not be fulfilled by traveling or you're gonna be broke or whatever. Let them say that. I highly recommend you checking out that theory more. Mel Robbins talks about it on her podcast, but the book the Let Them Theory is amazing. I highly recommend checking that out. But if you reframe your mindset from what are they gonna think to I hope I'm inspiring them or setting a good example, it'll change your life. If you reframe your thinking from what are they going to think to maybe I'm inspiring them, it's going to change your life drastically. If you embed the Let Them Theory into your thinking, it'll change your life as well. Honestly, most of the time, the people that are judging you are secretly wishing they were brave enough to do what you're doing. So don't stop. Number 4. I don't know enough or I'm not skilled enough. This is imposter syndrome, and it's a big fear. It's a big limiting belief to overcome. I live it every day. Am I an expert in all things travel? No. Am I skilled in podcast recording and editing? Absolutely not. Am I sufficient in the platform I'm trying to use to build my website? Not one bit. But I make these things a part of my identity. I am a travel advisor. I am a podcaster. I add my podcast to my email signature, my IG bio. I make business cards for my travel agent services. I may not be the best now, but I'm identifying with what I want to be in the future. So no one starts a marathon saying, I'm not a runner. No one gets on their running shoes and gets to the starting line and starts stretching saying, I'm not a runner. Even if they don't expect to win a race, or maybe they even expect to walk parts of the race, they are a runner because they're doing the thing. They're there. They're running the race. You are a traveler because you have the desire to travel. Start embedding it into your identity. Nobody knows everything when they start traveling. Everyone has to learn how to book a flight, navigate airports, figure out money exchanges. Everyone starts somewhere, and it's all figure outable. The only difference between you and that confident traveler on Instagram is that they started and you didn't. They trusted they'd figure it out as they went. And so will you. Number 5, what if I don't like it? Or what if I don't feel fulfilled by traveling? With this, I'm going to say intention is everything. If you go on a trip or a destination with intention, even if that intention is literally just to relax or to party, the intention goes such a long way. It comes from growth and lessons and the experiences you collect. Even if a trip doesn't go perfectly, and trust me, it won't, inevitably you're going to encounter a lot of minor inconveniences because that's just what travel is, and that's something I could talk about another time, but you're always going to gain clarity from that regardless. While traveling, you're constantly problem solving, troubleshooting, and it really builds character and in turn builds confidence. Even if you discover you don't like a destination, you'll learn what you do love and also what you don't love and how you want to shape your life moving forward with that. Even if you have a quote unquote bad travel experience, you're really moving closer to where you're meant to be. Nothing's bad, nothing's wasted. So that's my takeaway with that. 6. And the final one. What if I'm lonely when I'm traveling? This one hits really deep because it's real and it's something that still to this day I work toward overcoming that limiting belief. The root cause of this fear is abandonment or disconnection. Solo travel can be intimidating, but it's vital to your growth because of that. First, solo travel is the fastest way to meet people. And I know everyone's going to tell you that, and you're going to be like, oh, whatever. Seriously, hostels, group tours, volunteer programs, anything that you sign up for, you're gonna meet people that have the same values and beliefs as you because they're also solo traveling. So it builds this instant community. Some of the best friends that I have, I met while traveling solo. And if you're traveling and you're lost and you don't know where to go, it's a great exercise to talk to new people and to ask for help. Many other solo travelers feel the exact same way that you do. And obviously, they have the same values and beliefs because they're on the exact same journey as you, solo traveling to grow and learn. That's the main reason why most people do that. And they want to see the world. If there's any other way to meet people that you know you're going to have so much in common with and have the same core values and beliefs, it's probably that. I can't think of a better way, to be honest, like online dating or anything like that. This is like a guaranteed you guys are going to click because you're both traveling, you both have a desire to see the world, you both have a desire for adventure, you both really believe in the process of travel as self-growth. It's inevitable. But also, solo travel is one of the fastest ways to catapult your own self-discovery journey because you're learning to enjoy your own company, right? Because learning to enjoy your own company while also exploring somewhere completely new and foreign to you is one of the most empowering experiences you could ever have. Loneliness transforms into freedom when you realize that you're never truly alone because you have yourself to rely on yourself. And you rely on yourself because you're confident in your own capabilities. Once you know yourself from the inside out, the universe always sends the right people your way. Okay, so we have all these fears, we've acknowledged them, we've worked through them a little bit. Here's the powerful part is that you can rewire all of these fears. Start by becoming aware, which is what we did now. Notice where these fears show up. Call it out. This is a fear. This is not a fact. Your awareness of the fear is already so strong, and that's like a really great step. Then we're going to reframe it. No, instead of, I don't have money, we're going to start saying, how can I make this possible? Instead of, I don't have time, I'm choosing to make space for what matters to me. We're going to use journaling, affirmations, and intention setting to retrain your subconscious. And then we're going to take one small aligned action because action is what proves to your brain that you're safe, you're capable, and you're worthy. Over time, this is how fear stops running the show and starts working in your favor. So let's go over a little bit about what I talked about just so we get, the overall gist. We don't forget anything. Every excuse about why you can't travel is really a fear in disguise. Fear of money or not having enough of it, time, judgment, skills, fulfillment, loneliness, they're all rooted in subconscious fears, but every single one of them can be reframed. If this is lighting up something within you and you're ready to stop waiting for one day and start creating your now, I'd love to be a resource for you. As a travel advisor, I could help you plan your next adventure, build custom guides and itineraries for you, and support you as you take your first aligned actions. I can support you as you take your first aligned actions in any way possible. You can always reach out to me. My email and my Instagram is in all of my socials, and I'll link it in the show notes below. I love when people reach out to me. You are not alone. There are so many resources for you to figure this out, and I am one of them. You got this. Do not let fear get in the way of your desires and your destiny. Use that fear as fuel. Thank you so much for listening to the Quantum Queen Travels podcast. I'm Mary Boucher. I'm so grateful for every single one of you. Until next time, keep growing, keep exploring, and keep manifesting your next adventure. Bye.